State your full name.
My name is Casey Turner.
You do swear the testimony you're about to give to the court and to the jury and the matter not hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please be seated.
Please introduce yourself to the jury.
My name is Casey Turner.
How old are you?
I'm 18 years old.
Who do you live with?
My mother, Paige Turner, and my grandmother, Alice Abuela.
Do you know the defendant, Max Abeli?
Yes, I do.
How do you know him?
I know him from a social group.
Was there anyone else in the social group?
Yes, Logan K.
What was the social group for?
The social group was intended for me and Logan K to help Max interact with his peers.
What's your relationship with the defendant?
We're good friends.
Did you guys do anything outside of school?
Yes, he helped me with the upkeep of my grandmother's car.
How did that come about?
Me and Logan K were talking about it in this social group, and he became interested, so I let him come over and help me with the upkeep of the car.
I would like to direct your attention to December 17, 2003. Around 1:30, what happened that day?
The threat of snow gave us an early dismissal that day.
After leaving school, where did you go?
I went to my house.
Did anyone come with you?
Yes, Max.
What did you do when you got home?
Well, I went to get my key and unlock the door, but I noticed that I didn't have my bag. I had Logan's bag. See, we had identical bags, and they must have been switched. We've done that before.
So then what did you do?
So I told Max.
How did Max respond?
He said to me, I don't need keys. I can take your car for a ride without them.
Then what happened?
He proceeded to take alligator clips and wires out of his pocket. He started working under the hood and used the wire to connect the battery to the coil. The car started up. He got in the car and put it into gear and asked me if I was coming.
Did you come with him?
Worried about the car, I got in.
What happened inside of the car?
I tried to stop him, but he just got aggravated, and so I shut up.
Did you take any physical steps to try to stop him?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Because I didn't want to make him any more angry, and he was giving me this look.
Were you able to get him to stop the car?
Yes, I told him I was hungry and convinced him to stop at the local pizza shop.
What happened when you arrived at the pizza shop?
He got out of the car and did something under the hood to make the car stop. I was worried that he'd done something wrong, and I asked him about it, and he just smiled.
Did you both go inside?
Yes.
What happened when you got inside?
Max sat down, and he began telling Logan K all about how the car handled and how he loved driving.
What did you do while they were talking?
I pretended as if I was going to the bathroom and rather called the police.
Did you actually speak to the police?
No, I noticed that Chief Parker Carr walked in, so I hung up before I got to talk to him.
Did you speak with Chief Parker Carr?
Yes.
Did Logan K speak to Chief Parker Carr there?
Is this person?
Did Logan K speak with Chief Parker Carr at the pizza shop?
No, he did not.
Now I want to be very clear about something. Who started the car that day?
Max.
Who sat in the driver's seat?
Max.
Who stopped the car when you got to the pizza shop?
Max.
Your Honor, no further questions.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Good afternoon, Casey. You're currently a senior, correct?
Yes, I am.
And you have a scholarship, I hear,
Yes, I do. To UNC.
to University of North Carolina. For what?
For soccer.
If something were to go wrong, would you lose this scholarship?
Not the scholarship, no. I would lose the privileges to the car.
Thank you. Now, on this day, it was snowing, correct? So you left out of school early.
Yes.
School is let out at what time?
If I remember correctly, it was approximately 1:30.
Yes. Now, you say in your witness statement that it takes you approximately 30 minutes to walk home. Is that correct?
That sounds about right.
So, assuming that, you would arrive home at around 2 o'clock.
Yes, that's it.
You then came home and you saw that the house was locked. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you have a cell phone with you?
Yes, I did.
Did you bother to call anyone when you found out that your house was locked?
Yes, I called her mother, but she didn't answer.
You then went to J&T's, correct?
Well, in a roundabout way, yes.
During the car ride, did you bother to call anyone again?
I wasn't able to. My cell phone fell out of my pocket when I entered the car.
So the cell phone was in the car, and yet you were also in the car, so you could not use it. Is that what you're saying?
Repeat that, please.
You stated in the last statement that the cell phone fell out of your pocket while you were in the car. But in the car, you couldn't call anyone?
I didn't want to make Max more aggravated than he already was.
Thank you. Then, at J&T's, you parked in the back, correct?
I did not park. Max parked.
Thank you. You then got down from the car promptly. You then promptly got down from the car.
Okay, yes.
Did you see anyone at the back door?
Yes, Logan K.
And what was Logan K doing?
And it looked as though he was using his cell phone.
Once you got out of the car, did you bother to call anyone on your cell phone?
No.
You then walked inside to the pizza shop, correct?
Yes.
You were very concerned about this car. Am I correct with that?
Yes.
And you did not call anyone then?
No.
Saying that a drive there takes about 10 minutes, and you left your house around 2:10, you would arrive around 2:20?
Yes, that was the time that you were saying.
The call to the police was registered at exactly 3:21 and 45 seconds, giving the defendant giving this witness 1 hour to make a phone call. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you consider 1 hour immediate?
Immediate?
Immediate.
No.
You were concerned about this car, and so you made the call as quick as you could, as you said before.
You mean the pizza shop?
Yeah, in the pizza shop.
Yes.
And so, Casey, the phone call, as I said earlier, was registered at 3:21 and 45 seconds, giving him an hour. And yet, he claims now that he came in to the pizza shop and made the call as quick as he could, and yet it took an hour. So, Casey, do you feel that you made the call as quick as you could?
I tried to do it as safely as possible. As I said, I didn't want to make Max more aggravated by using his phone in the car. So I waited to the pizza shop till I convinced him to go to the pizza shop.
And this took an hour.
I can't recall.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Any
No.
Okay. Let me step down. Watch your step, sir. All right. Commonwealth have any further witnesses?
No, we don't.
All right. Okay. Defense, present any testimony.
Your Honor, may we call Logan Case instead?
All right.
Thank you.
I will state your full name.
Logan K.
You do swear the testimony about to give to the court and to the jury in the matter now hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please be seated, sir.
Well, can you please state your name and address for the record?
My name is Logan K. and I live in Higgins, Pennsylvania.
How old are you?
I'm 16.
And what grade are you in?
I'm a senior in high school.
Why are you so young for your grade?
They let me skip several grades because I'm gifted.
What do you plan to do after high school?
I plan to take an undergraduate study at Penn State main campus, and from there I plan to attend Temple Law School, where I want to become a trial lawyer.
Why do you plan to do this?
I wanted to do this to help people like Max and help give them a voice because after seeing what happens to people with disadvantages such as Max's, I see how easily they can be taken advantage of, and I want to help these people.
How long have you known Casey?
I've known Casey since kindergarten,
And how long have you known Max?
since 8th grade.
Which one of these friends is closest to you now?
Right now, I would have to say Max, because after what Casey has done, I don't think I could ever be as close to him again.
How'd you meet Max Ability?
I met him through a social group at school. I had a career counselor that asked if I wanted to engage in a social group that helped special ed kids, and it was just helped me see if I wanted to possibly go into a field with special education.
What was the purpose behind this group?
I saw the purpose behind this group was to help Max get fit in school because he had various social problems because of his disorder.
Has Max ever been exploited by you or others?
Yes, Max has been exploited by people countless times. I myself have also exploited Max on several occasions.
How's your position on this changed?
I believe that what I did in the past is wrong and that what other people have done to Max is wrong. And I believe that, and I've learned from my mistakes, unlike Casey. What Casey did was far worse than what I did.
On a different note, was there anything that fascinated you about Max?
Yes. Max could focus in on the smallest things, smallest details, if he was really interested in something. And while he was focused, he would completely tune everything else out like it wasn't even there.
How did Max become interested in the car?
Casey and I used to talk about it in social group a lot.
What would Casey do when Max would work on the car?
Casey and I would just hang out and talk while Casey would do Max would do all of Casey's chores.
Are Max's parents aware of his special interest in cars?
Yes, they are. They even bought him his own Mustang, which he almost has a working condition.
How did Casey feel about this?
Casey seemed very jealous about this because Max would have his own car in working condition, while Casey would not even be able to ride his grandmother's.
On December 17th, 2003, where did you go about 1:30 p.m.?
I went to check on a relative to see if they were prepared for the storm that was supposed to hit us.
And how did Casey get home?
Casey walked.
Why did he walk home?
Casey thinks that seniors shouldn't have to take the bus. But what I think it really is that he's embarrassed because the kids on the bus often make fun of him for having a really cool car in his house, but he's not able to drive it.
What were your plans after school?
We were supposed to meet at J&T's Pizza at 2:30.
What happened once you were at J&T's?
I took out my cell phone to make a few calls, but my reception in the restaurant was pretty bad. So I went out to the back lot to see if I could get a better signal.
What happened when you were on your cell phone?
When I stepped out on the back lot, I saw the Ford Mustang parked next to a dumpster.
Where was Max at this time?
Max was standing by the passenger side door. He then went to the hood of the car and did something to make the engine stop running.
Where was Casey during this?
Casey was standing by the driver's side door.
Oh wait, I'm sorry, I don't think the jury heard that. Can you please say that again?
Casey was standing by
Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered.
I'll permit it.
Casey was standing by the driver's side door.
What did you do when you saw this?
I asked Casey what he was doing with the car.
And once you sat down with him, what did Casey do?
Casey immediately switched bags because we have identical bags and we often mix them up.
Did you have any conversations with Casey about the shelving?
Yes.
And can you repeat what was said? Objection, Your Honor. Counsel is calling for hearsay testimony.
Casey, yes, it is.
Okay. How did Max act during your conversations at J&T's?
Max was really excited about the car and talking about how the car rode.
And how did Casey act during all this?
Casey seemed kind of agitated. Well, not agitated, a little bit worried about the whole situation.
So, okay. Do you know who drove the car?
No, I do not.
After your pizza orders were taken, what happened?
After our pizza orders were taken, we were waiting, we were just sitting around. Casey got up to go to the bathroom, and then right after that, Chief Parker car walked in.
When Chief Parker Carr arrived, what happened?
He came in and immediately started questioning Max about the car.
What was Max's response to this?
Max immediately pleaded guilty to taking the car, for the car being. Max immediately stated that he was responsible for the car being at the pizzeria.
And what happened to Casey?
Casey came running back from the bathroom, ranting about how he had called the police and how that Max was going to get in a lot of trouble for taking the Ford Mustang.
Did Casey say anything to you at the time?
Casey told me that just to let Max take the fall for this.
Objection, Your Honor. Counsel was calling for hearsay testimony.
And you already answered it, you're free to object.
May I ask that he not be allowed to answer fully?
If there's any more, okay, he can stop there. He's already, we're not going to strike what he said.
Your Honor, wasn't that in the witness statement?
Oh, I don't know,
It was.
but it might be that maybe has to be elicited another way.
Okay. Well, what do you think should happen to Casey now?
I think Casey should learn his lesson by losing two of his best friends.
What are your feelings towards Casey now?
All I can say is that I wish I'd never seen this side of him.
Thank you. No further questions.
Okay, cross-examine.
Yes, Your Honor. You've been in some trouble in the past, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
You were caught shoplifting.
Yes.
Now you're planning to go to college, aren't you?
Mhm.
And your parents are going to pay for your tuition.
Yes, they are.
But your parents aren't going to pay if you get into any more trouble, are they?
No.
You met the defendant through a special group in school, correct?
Yes.
And you got to know him pretty well.
Yes.
You used to have him steal for you, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And as long as you told him it was okay, he would do it.
Yes.
But then he stopped,
Yes, he did.
because his doctor taught him that stealing was wrong.
Yes.
And from then on, you can no longer manipulate the defendant into stealing for you.
No. Max would do whatever. Max would listen to his doctor and no longer stole.
On December 17th, you saw Casey at the pizza shop, correct?
Yes.
But you didn't see either of them pull up, did you?
No, I did not.
So you didn't look outside until after they were out of the car.
Yes.
And you can't tell us who was driving.
No. Not for sure.
When you came into the pizza shop, did you make any move to call the police yourself?
No.
And you were present when Chief Carr arrived, correct?
Yes, I was.
And you were there when the defendant confessed to the chief.
Yes.
But you heard him say that he was responsible for being at the pizza shop, for the car being at the pizza shop, correct?
Yes.
But you never thought to say that this was incorrect, did you?
I was flustered at the time because I was just nervous about the whole situation.
But regardless of why, you didn't come forward until the next day, correct?
No.
You stopped shoplifting shortly after the defendant did, correct?
No.
You did not stop shoplifting after the defendant did?
I shoplifted in my junior year after I was caught.
You still shoplifted after the defendant, after you
Yes.
were caught?
Oh, no, not after I was caught, no.
All right, so you did get caught.
Yes.
And it was Casey's mother who caught you.
Yes.
And it was Casey's mother who turned you in.
Yes.
And in your version of the story, it was Casey who was driving, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Any reader?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hmm?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Would Max's or Casey's guilt affect your future?
No.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Okay, you may step down. Watch your step, please. Okay, another witness?
Your Honor, the defense would like to call Dr. Quincy Jones.
Standing, place your right hand on the Bible. State your full name.
My name is Dr. Quincy Jones.
You do swear the testimony you're about to give to the court and to the jury in the matter not hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please proceed.
Dr. Jones, can you please state your current occupation?
I am currently Director of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry at Barrister Regional Hospital.
And what is your field of expertise and background?
I attended the University of Pennsylvania Medical School. I then did an internship at Pennsylvania Hospital, followed by my fellowship at Johns Hopkins University in Maryland. I'm also board certified in psychiatry and neurology.
How long have you known Max?
His entire life?
Has he been your patient his entire life?
No.
Then how do you know Max?
Through his father, I went to college with his father.
Prior to Max being your patient, was he ever diagnosed with any other disability?
Yes, at the age of 3.5, he was diagnosed within the autistic spectrum with Asperger's syndrome.
And can you please state the difference between the two?
Autism runs at two different ends of the spectrum. At one end, patients are nonverbal and rigid in thought and behavior, and at the other end, patients are highly articulate and highly functioning. And with Asperger's syndrome, patients tend to be naive. They are frequently exploited by others, and they tend to know 100 facts about a certain subject.
Besides seeking help in your office, has Max ever sought any help outside?
Yes.
And can you please state what it was?
In the 8th grade, I encouraged his parents to set up a social group with fellow classmates from school
And what was the purpose of this group?
to help Max with his social skills.
And did it help him?
Slightly, but Max is nowhere near the functioning level of a normal teenager.
During a regular group meeting, what would they usually discuss?
Max's interest with automobiles and hobbies that they all shared.
Dr. Jones, can you please describe the relationship between Max and Casey?
They were friends. Max would go over to Casey's house in the afternoon to work on Casey's grandmother's car.
And Dr. Jones, how often do you see Max?
Every 6 months unless an immediate issue occurs.
And when was your last visit with Max?
December 18th, 2003.
Is it usual for Max to schedule an immediate visit?
Only if an immediate issue occurs.
And was your previous meeting an immediate visit?
Yes.
And what issues did you discuss during this?
We discussed the incident with Mrs. Willow's car.
Your Honor, may I please approach the witness?
Yeah, we'll go to read it, okay. You gave a copy, whatever it is, to the other side.
Yeah, I just gave it.
You did, okay.
Can you please identify this?
Yes, it's my witness statement.
And is that your signature?
Yes.
Can you please read lines 188 through 193?
Objection, Your Honor. In this statement, there's a part in there that is hearsay. She's going to explain what the defendant told her, and that's hearsay.
It's an interesting one. What, she's going to explain what the defendant told her.
Yes. In this statement, it says, Max told me this, and that's hearsay. It's not admissible.
Objection, Your Honor. This is the doctor's witness statement.
It's still hearsay.
And Max isn't here to testify. Well, for the sole purpose of receiving treatment, but not for the truth or falsity of it, I'll admit it.
It's for the truth of the matter. He directly says something towards the truth of the matter.
Okay, well, I haven't seen it, so I don't know what it is. On that basis alone, I'll permit it, and only for the purpose that I just stated.
Thank you, Your Honor. Proceed.
Here I think Max started the car to assist a friend and then told the police he was responsible for the car being stolen. In the police view, because Max knows his starting of the car was the act responsible for allowing the car to be moved. Max could not understand that Casey was stealing the car because in Max's eyes, it was Casey's car. Furthermore, Max told me he did not drive the car. Max said Casey drove the car so Casey could get his keys from Logan.
Thank you. During your visits, how would Max talk about other kids?
He would talk about times when they've exploited him.
And can you please give me an example of this?
Yes, a couple years ago, Max had a teacher that would hand out candy on special occasions. And the teacher left the room for a couple of minutes, and the students convinced Max that her leaving of the classroom was a special occasion, and for him to go into her purse and pass out candy. When the teacher returned, she noticed that candy was missing and had asked who had taken it, and Max readily admitted to taking of the candy.
After this incident, what did you tell Max?
I discussed with him that taking something without the permission of another was wrong, like the incident concerning the car.
Thank you, doctor. No further questions.
Okay, cross-examine.
Yes, Your Honor. You are a good friend of the defendant's family, aren't you?
Yes.
And you've known them for a long time before you became Max's doctor.
Yes.
At first, you didn't want to start working with the defendant.
Correct.
You were afraid that your personal relationship would jeopardize or mess up your professional relationship.
Yes.
But in the end, you couldn't turn down an old friend.
Well, Max's father needed someone that he felt was educated in this field, and I am, so I wanted to help.
And you just couldn't turn down your old friend.
Yes.
And today you are testifying on behalf of the defendant, Max, right?
Yes.
Now, just to get this straight, you are a child and adolescent psychiatrist, and one of your specialties is Asperger's syndrome.
Yes.
And children such as the defendant often have an area of special interest or knowledge.
Yes.
They often possess a wealth of information in that area.
Yes.
In the defendant's case, one of his areas of special interest was the 1967 Shelby Ford Mustang.
Yes.
And this was the car that was stolen on December 17, 2003.
Yes.
And this is not the first time we have heard of an Asperger's child committing a crime related to their special interest.
No, it's not the first time.
This is not the first time the defendant has gotten in trouble for stealing.
No, it's not.
You just stated that a few years ago the defendant stole his teacher's purse.
Yes.
And you
Because
talked...
he-
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, because his classmates encouraged him to, and then Max can't separate certain things from.
Okay. You talked to the defendant about this incident, didn't you?
Yes.
And you told him that stealing, or even helping people to steal, was always wrong, right?
If he didn't have the permission of the owner.
And according to you, the defendant is always honest.
Yes.
The defendant would always admit to what he had done.
Yes.
And the defendant signed a statement in this case, admitting responsibility for this crime.
Responsibility, but not for driving the car.
Responsibility.
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Want to do that?
Yes, Your Honor. Doctor, is autism a short-term and easily curable disease?
No, it is not.
Has Max ever been exploited by others?
Yes.
And was he exploited in this case particularly?
Yes.
Your Honor, just leading question.
Not in the context, I don't think, where we've already talked about it being exploitable,
Okay.
shall we say so.
Thank you. No further questions.
Okay. Step down. Watch your step. Any further witnesses for the defense? Okay, rebuttal testimony is not allowed. Anyway. No, okay. That would end the testimony then. All right, then we're ready for summations to the jury.
After hearing what really happened, contrary to what the prosecution has led you to believe, I will now leave you with one thought to consider. Is it fair to take advantage of someone because they have a disability? Is it fair to let an innocent person take the blame for a crime they did not commit? Is it fair that on December 17, 2003, Casey Turner manipulated Max into hot-wiring Miss Abuela's pink Shelby Ford Mustang in order for Casey to drive his grandmother's car, only to blame Max for a crime he did not and by far could not have committed? No. No, it is certainly not fair that when Max and KC went to Casey's house after school, KC did not specify exactly which keys he did not have. Above all, it is not fair that Casey Turner took advantage of Max's disability and manipulated him into configuring the car to start, only to blame it on poor, naive Max. Casey met Max through a social group set up at school to facilitate Max make friends and enhance his social skills. Although the social group was made to help Max, it also helped KC. There, KC noticed that Max was easily exploited by others. He also saw that Max had a way with cars. He knew them inside and out. He was also obsessed with them, in particular with his grandmother's pink Shelby Ford Mustang. The Mustang belonged to Casey's grandmother, and the car had both a very expensive price value as well as sentimental. Casey was never allowed to drive it and was often teased for never being able to drive it because it was sitting in his driveway. Casey, unlike Max, is not naive. He knew that he could easily persuade Max into hotwiring the car and blame it on him, and that nobody would believe him. Max is not the one who wanted to drive the car. In fact, Max's parents bought him his own Mustang. Don't you think Max would want to drive his own? Casey, however, felt as though he needed to prove himself, because everybody made fun of him. Casey wanted to drive the car, and Casey drove the car. To quote Casey, "It's not like Max has a scholarship to lose, or anything." Yes, Max does not have a scholarship to lose, but Casey does. If truth be told, a scholarship is not only the thing he has to jeopardize, but also he was at risk for losing the car if caught by his grandmother. In fact, his mother, who was caught taking the car, was not allowed to drive it by his grandmother's orders. So in reality, Casey was the one with something to lose. When Casey took the car, he was unaware of the consequences he would be faced with until he got to the pizzeria when Logan informed him of what would be awaiting him. Right after Logan told Casey that he would lose his scholarship as well as the car, Casey got up and made his fake 911 call to 911 and to make his story more believable. When Chief Parker Carr arrived at the pizzeria, Max admitted to taking the car. However, he did not admit to in fact driving the car. When Max was arrested, he put up quite a fight. At the police station, he put up resistance, enough for 2 police officers to restrain him. Isn't that strange? Someone who admits to something so openly still puts up restraint? The reason for the resistance? Because Max did not fully comprehend what Chief Parker Carr was asking him. He did not know what he was confessing about due to his autism. Although Chief Parker Carr put a syntax error into the text and Max caught it, it does not mean that he fully comprehended what the document was actually stating. Actually, Chief Parker Carr himself said that Max might have not understood what it was saying. That is why, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it was that we have proven Casey Turner's manipulation that led Max to rewiring the car in order to help his friend get to the pizzeria, in which Casey, by his own selfish means, drove his grandmother's car. Casey did not call home or the police in the car. Why? Because Casey was driving the car. Casey has more at risk to lose and did not think Max would get in trouble. Because in the words of Casey Turner, special ed kids get away with everything. It would just be like when Max stole the purse. In Casey's eyes, it would all go away and Max would be fine. Casey would keep his scholarship and the car, and Casey would be able to prove himself to his friends. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, on behalf of my co-counsels and I, we thank you for your time and openness during the case. As not only members of the jury, but human beings, will you please make the correct decision in seeing that Max is not guilty, but rather the helpless victim of the exploitation, set upon by Casey Turner. Not only for Max's sake, but for the sake of justice, please. Thank you.